Thank you so much, Chude, for joining us. What informed the Minister of Justice's call to scrap state electoral commissions in Nigeria?
Well, the issue has been on for quite some time, and it has been something that has been in public discourse for a very long time, especially looking at the ways and manners these elections, local government elections are conducted by the state SIECs. And I think what has been alarming really is the fact that there's almost a near unanimity of similar results across all the states in the country. So what you have most times is that the ruling party in the states end up winning about between 90 to 95%, sometimes 100% of the seats contested for at the local government level. And so it is something that has been worrisome to a lot of people. And this is regardless of the bad quality, work done by local government, officials. I mean, not just local government. I mean, of those who are elected at that level. And so, regardless of how badly they perform, somehow people have a way of similarly voting for them, and that has aroused a lot of suspicion in the minds of people generally. So that has been the case, and of course, that we know that there's a general apathy in elections in Nigeria. Talking about elections at the national level, at the state, level, but at the local government level, it is the worst. In most cases, you have about even maybe 3% or 2% of the voting public are the ones that turn up to vote, during such elections. And so it just simply tells you that people are completely, when it comes to connection with with the elections conducted by SIEC, people are completely disconnected from such elections. They are not really interested. So it is like you might as well appoint somebody who will go ahead and maybe win the election because they have little or no contest in those elections. And so I'm not surprised by the fact that at this conference, the stakeholders are kicking against it. Of course, they are talking about their existence. So it's about their own personal interest. That is what matters. Because if you scrap it and then ask INEC to take care of it, to take care of such elections, then it means that these people are going to be out of a job. So they will definitely, talk about, take the position they have taken, and that is that it must not be scrapped. But I'm not sure that these elections are very useful under any circumstance in this country. And that's why you have governors now, because all the governors are benefiting from it, obviously. Their party contests at that level, and their party has about 95, 100% victory, regardless of how they have performed. So all of the governors, this is one area where you're going to have all the governors, speaking with one voice, because they all stand to gain. But it is the country that loses. It is the democratization process that loses.
Achike, what constitutional and legal implications would arise from scrapping state electoral commissions?
No, it has to go to the National Assembly. That is as simple as that, because it was set up by law. So it cannot just be scrapped without going through the process of, by the lawmakers who set it up in the first place, and it needs to be, can be dismantled and then taking their powers, taken over and given over to the INEC. Whether INEC is going to be able to do that is another thing. Don't forget that people are saying that INEC is a body. Even INEC says the same thing, and that's why they're talking about a tribunal to try electoral offenders or offenses. Because they want to concentrate, essentially in what they are primarily set up to do, and that is to conduct election. So some of these things could be, diversion. But there are so many the civil society organizations that are saying that as bad as even those who complain about the elections conducted by INEC, but that they are far better than what you have, at the state SIECs, and that these are not elections at all. They are just, these SIECs are complete appendages of state governments or state governors. And so that's what you are having. So you cannot talk about the democratization, and that also consider what the SIECs are doing. Yes, like I said, they are simply appendages. And so if you want to scrap it, it must go through the process that set it up in the first place, that made it a law, brought it to being, as a legal body. Yeah, the National Assembly has a bill has to be advanced, at the National Assembly, and then it has to be defeated. It has to go through all of the processes to either scrap it, remove it, and from the laws of this country, and then put something else in this place.
Right. So in what ways would the abolition of state electoral commissions enhance or even undermine the independence and credibility of local elections in Nigeria?
Yeah, well, it depends on whether it is handed over to INEC and INEC is able to do something much better. I think INEC is much more, practiced, and then one of the major advantages will be that if INEC is organizing an election in any elections, and they set up a different SIEC, controlled by INEC, for instance, there's going to be some level of detachment between INEC and then the government in that particular state. And perhaps that detachment will allow them to do their work properly, provided that the other components of that help in making an election successful. That is, for instance, the security is also in place, because it's not just INEC. INEC is the primary manager of elections, but there are other, agencies of government whose role is important towards ensuring the success of the election itself, and primarily it is the security. So no matter how well INEC wants to, conduct the election, for instance, if you do not have the proper security on ground, especially with the kind of volatility that we see with Nigerian elections, then definitely that election is also going to fail. So all of the elements needed for election must work properly, must work together. And that's why, again, the people, that attended this conference are also saying that instead of scrapping it, that they need to reform it. But how much reform can you do, with the SIECs, when you know that the politicians are the ones that are calling the shots, disregarding even the laws that set up the SIECs in the first place? So this is the dilemma that I think we find ourselves in.
So how would the responsibilities currently shouldered by state electoral commissions be redistributed if they are abolished? And what capacity would INEC or other bodies have to assume in these roles?
Well, obviously now, if it's abolished and the responsibility is given to INEC will have to take over the structures of these SIECs, obviously, and appoint their own people, and rewrite the template for holding of, for the SIEC itself. Perhaps they have much more, like I said, they're much more experienced. They have perhaps more, they are more knowledgeable about conducting elections. They've done that for quite some time, and the elections have been relatively far better than what we have, with the SIECs. And then again, there's a possibility that the governors are not going to control such elections the way they control the SIECs, almost 100%. And so, if it is done in that manner, we might begin to see a few things. But like I said, I'm not exactly sure that INEC would willingly want to take over. Civil society have been calling for that for quite some time. But you need to also give INEC a break. You need to also the unbundling of INEC that people have been talking about, that needs, to happen.
Right.
Perhaps if they say, okay, reforms, what manner of reforms? If the reforms are fundamental enough, perhaps they might help. If not, we're still going to, keep on moving around in circles.
Right. We're going to have to leave this conversation there for now. Thank you so much, political analyst Achike Chude, for joining us tonight.